Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so appreciative of your time and your energy that you're going to put into this discussion in this panel today. My name is Ben Olander. I'm currently serving as a Minnesota FFA state president, originally from the Staples Motley FFA chapter, and I'm currently majoring in ag business and agronomy here at the University of Minnesota Crookston. So I'm going to toss it over to Emily, and she can introduce herself, and we can go from there.
Good morning, everyone. I am Emily Cianrome. I'm currently serving as a state vice president this year, originally from the Mountain Lake FFA chapter, and I'm studying at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, majoring in agricultural education. So now we can ask our panelists to introduce themselves, your job title, your company, and a little bit about what you do there.
Hi, I'm Jamie Walbeck. I work with Riverview Farms LLP out of Morris. I work with the operations team, focusing on the manure systems. We work the day-to-day stuff of working through the processes, mostly focusing on safety and then just efficiency, and then just working on lowering cost.
John Klayeski, worked for CHS. Out of our Rochester, we're part of a country ops division. Operations manager, head up the agronomy and grain. We also have a little bit of refined fuels and propane. Just guide location managers on their day-to-day duties and make sure locations are running smoothly.
Good morning. I'm Mike Colstow with Titan Machinery. I'm a general manager for 2 stores in northern Minnesota, Crookston and Roseau. I help oversee the parts, service, and sales departments in those 2 stores, and help so we can help take care of our customers better.
Good morning. I'm Sam Christensen. I also work with Titan Machinery, and I'm a store manager for 2 stores, one in Castleton and one in Moorhead. I work with all 3 departments, as Mike just kind of touched on, but work with farmers every day in some capacity. So it's an interesting job day to day.
Thank you so much for introducing yourself. So we'll get right rolling into these questions. The first one being, what led you into this career? Maybe you had some previous experience in some of your coursework to a high school, college, maybe you had experiences outside of college or any kind of education or experience that you had. Jamie, if you could start, and then we'll just kind of go around the circle again.
I've worked in the ag industry for 15 years, starting out mostly on the mechanical side of manure separation. I worked for Genex Farm Systems for 10 years. That's what led me into the career I am today at Riverview, working with separation, pumping systems, and that's what led me where I'm at today.
My career started, I grew up on a small dairy, always kind of involved in dairy. Agriculture was in my background in a small scale. Went to school at South Central Technical College in Mankato. In between my first and second year, I went to the local co-op in Claremont, Minnesota, looking for part-time work. I was hired on the spot, and kind of the rest is history. It kind of fell into my lap. Ultimately, I went for agribusiness production at South Central. Wanted to farm, pretty tough to get started. So ag retail is the next thing closest to farming, that the opportunity was there for me.
Myself, I grew up on a farm as well, and it was a dairy farm, small grains, and I had the aspirations of that's what I wanted to do, is go back and farm as well myself. And I went to school at University of Minnesota Crookston. I was a animal science major with a dairy emphasis, and that was, that was what I wanted to do. That's what I thought I wanted to do at the time. But I needed an internship one summer, and my advisor was friends of the local dealership in town, and he knew that they were hiring, and he said, yeah, I think that'd be a great fit for you, Mike. I'll endorse it as an internship. Yeah, I know it's really not probably a dairy type internship, but I definitely think you get some skills and some knowledge there. And I never left the business after once I got that job. And I landed into an industry that I really always did enjoy as a child. It was worth working with farm equipment, and the rest is history. I'm still here today.
I guess my exposure to farming started at a young age. My uncle had a hog farm, so I got exposure to farming that way. And then I actually lived across the street from my grandpa's farm equipment dealership when we were really little. So I had exposure to that side of it from a very early age. In high school, I started working at the store a little bit, like cleaning equipment or assembling equipment, just kind of easy stuff around the shop like that. And then I went to school at St. John's University where I studied management. And I guess when I graduated school, I started with the company in a business manager position, which is kind of assisting all the sales guys. And then I got into sales for 10 years after that and switched over to management about 5 years ago. So it's kind of my timeline of time in the industry.
Yeah, I love how all your stories are so different, and it shows that there's no one path, one like journey to this pathway into this career, that you can really have different stories, different backgrounds, and it can still lead you to a great career. So our next question is, what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, in operations, there really isn't a typical day. Every day is a little different. So we focus a lot on the regional training, the maintenance teams on service, going through, like I said, safety being the #1 focus. We try to figure out what we can do to do things safer, doing more of the things that we should be doing, and then getting rid of the things that don't make any sense to do. One of the things I really enjoy doing is the R&D, working with vendors on trying different things, trying different products, just going off of what has worked in the past and what hasn't worked, and then just, so this isn't working, let's try new things, and then working with the vendors on developing new stuff to try out. Just measuring the performance of equipment as well, trying to get the most life out of the equipment we have, getting feedback from all the guys on site to make better decisions. And then one of the things I really enjoy doing is gathering all the information that from the guys, and just then we can make better decisions on what we're going to do in the future.
My day-to-day consists of working with location managers, make sure facilities are ready to go. Obviously, we're coming into spring. We need to make sure all of our equipment's ready. I also do some fertilizer purchasing. So making sure our bins are ready so we can supply nutrients to growers out here. Other than that, with COVID, things have changed a little bit. We used to be at locations more often. Hopefully that'll be ramping up here again, but and last March we all got sent home to office from home, so we're currently doing that. But getting out to locations is key to see what's going on out there. The other thing I do is deal with some employee stuff, good and bad. That's part of my role, some hiring. So just kind of overall general, making sure the business is running smoothly on the operations side.
I usually go to one of the locations, whether it be Crookston or Roseau. First thing I like to do is try to get there early, visit with the technicians and stuff. Some of them, do start early, and I'll visit with them on some of the jobs that they're doing, just to, so I can visit with them, and they always like to hear what's going on up front, and visit with the, you know, the parts people who as well that come in. And then as far as how the day gets going, and you know, start, you know, as far as reviewing, you know, work orders that that need to be handled, or making sure that, and then getting involved into the sales processes, where we're at as far as on a sale of a piece of equipment, and where is it at, you know, as far as from, you know, is it delivered, what's holding it back from delivery, collections and things like that. And then of course any other process, you know, the sales deals that they're working on, the salespeople are working on, making sure we're, you know, going over them with them as far as where they're at as far as, you know, getting that piece of equipment sold, and do they have the right piece of equipment located. And of course working across from other stores as far as whether they're trying to, you know, we're trying to locate other equipment for our needs, and then of course responding to requests from other stores for equipment that might be on our lot on a day-to-days. There's kind of a lot of what happens on a typical day-to-day right now. So Sam?
Yeah, my day is very similar to Mike's. I go through and meet with kind of all three departments to get the day going, and then from there, it's a lot of my time is committed to the sales department, and, you know, reviewing where we're at with the sales process on various pieces, or responding to other stores, or requesting stuff from other stores. And then on top of that, there are it's a different interruption every day, but there's something that pops up every day, so that you kind of work into your schedule on top of all that stuff that we just described.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like it doesn't necessarily always end up being the same day, but it always sounds like it's always a productive day, and that's what's important in the agriculture industry. And as we move to our next question, what are some of those valuable talents and skills that you see on a day-to-day basis that you utilize, or maybe you even see them in some of the employees, or you want to see them in some of your employees?
Some of the most valuable skills would be just the knowledge that I've picked up working through the pumping systems and separation in my years of working in it. So as we go to design new systems, sizing pipes, sizing pumps, you know, the amount of separation you'll need to provide enough separation, and then just listening to others and asking a lot of questions, so you can get the feedback that you need to keep moving forward and keep making better decisions.
Some of those skills for employees that I like to see is employees that come in and are willing to learn, willing to try new things. They have to be able to want to take on task. It's much easier to train employees if they're willing to try new things. That would be my key things.
Yeah, I agree with John, and some of those skills is very important as far as, you know, being willing to train and willing to learn, and not just come right in and think that they know it all. And but, you know, as far as, you know, other skills, you know, as far as, you know, technicians, you can get more into detail on some of those things, and some of those knowledge and those skills that they have as far as mechanical ability and way to rationalize the problem at hand in front of them, and knowing where to find the information to help them out. But a lot of times, some of those, you know, some of them, they're kind of born with, in a way, I like to believe, but how they can solve those problems, it just amazes me some days. And you know, and as far as the rest of the staff, and even to include the technicians, it's just interpersonal skills, being able to work with people, you know, being a problem solver, you know, having solutions for problems for people, you know, but being, you know, we're in the customer service industry, so we need to be courteous and gracious to our customers and their needs, and be prompt to help take care of them. Sam?
Probably one of the biggest skills I look for and listen for when I'm interviewing people would be their ability to communicate. I think being able to listen to people is very important, but also being able to communicate what you need to say to other people. I think that facilitates, or is a big facilitator of the team mentality at your store. Everybody can communicate with each other. I think everything works better, especially some of the stores that we have. You get a pretty big team. It could be, 25, 35 people that have to all be working together. So the ability for that team to communicate amongst itself is pretty important.
Yeah, I like how you guys were saying that you need so many different skills, whether that's the hands-on skills when you're actually working with equipment or just communicating and knowing how to problem solve and listen to others. The next question we have for you guys are, what knowledge do you use on a daily basis that you gained from your high school courses?
On a daily basis, it's just a lot of math and a lot of just computer spreadsheet building, whether it's Excel or Google Sheets. So all the decisions you try to make are based off of lowering, or some of it is based off of lowering your cost and being able to put that together so you can understand it and just keep collecting that data. And I think math would be one of the bigger ones.
I would say high school, some of those classes, obviously, I took a lot of ag classes in high school. But some of those financial classes, even in the ag classes, some of that farm management stuff that you learn, it directly relates to our business. Obviously, being in operations, still have a P&L to watch. So understanding the financials and whatnot, any of those math skills, they'll go a long ways for you.
Some of the skills, I come out of high school from the late 80s, early 90s, but we did have computers back then, and it was, we got to, get into some things. Excel was kind of beginning at that time, and learning how to, work that through that. And into college, we had actually, Crookston was one of the first schools to have laptops. So got a lot of computer skills there, which is something I use on a daily basis, a lot typing, as far as communicating, writing emails, and would be some of the main things that I probably picked up from my high school days that I use on a daily basis.
Yeah, I agree. As important as I think communication is, I do use a lot of, typing or writing. And then just in prep for if I do have to talk for a meeting or whatever, I'm writing that stuff down too. So I do a lot of that, but then I think everybody uses math in some way as part of functioning a business. So a lot of math, and I had basic business in high school and also basic accounting. And those two things are real good foundations that are a lot of stuff you'd use every day, as just in business, in a job, keeping track of money, simple debits and credits or basic business stuff.
Yeah, we see a lot of those classes that are gained in high school that kind of set the foundation for what you do in your career, and as you move forward and into your experiences, they kind of are instrumental to what you do. So the next question we got for you is, what piece of advice would you give to high school students watching this career panel today that you found the most intramural and most foundational and valuable to your career?
Advice I would give is just find something you really like to do and put a lot of time into understanding it and researching it, and just have a strong work ethic, and always treat others like you'd like to be treated. Just surround yourself with people like-minded people that work hard. Just don't be afraid to help. If you help other people, it'll come back. Just surround yourself with people that want you to succeed, and helping others succeed.
For me, it would be come into a job with the I can and I will attitude, and don't be afraid to start at the bottom. You know, you'll gain a lot of skills just starting at ground level, and then work your way up. And the way you do that is, you know, by having that attitude of I'll try that, I can do that, instead of I won't and I can't.
You know, some of us today, you know, on this panel here, we grew up maybe on a farm or near a farm. A lot of young people, unfortunately, don't get that privilege nowadays. But as they look for a career in out there in the world for them to do, careers in ag are all over in the Midwest, and great rewarding careers, I believe, and well-paid jobs with benefits and, you know, willing to learn. There's an employer out there in ag that's looking for you. So don't discount it. It's there for you. There's a good career for you in ag in this area.
Yeah, I guess the advice I would give would be to keep listening and be willing to try new things when people need you to. A little bit of hard work goes a long way. You just want to continue to be learning the entire time that you're exposing yourself to whatever you get into.
Yeah, I think there's so many great pieces of advice to give high school students as they're looking towards what they're going to do in their future and in their career. So we have one last question for you guys. What activities in your job have you enjoyed the most and found the most interesting? And then on the flip side, which ones have you disliked?
For me, I enjoy just coming to work every day, working with a bunch of great people who want to do the best they can do. That's what drew me to Riverview, is just the positive attitude people have and how hard people work. Doing things that you're getting comfortable, doing things you're uncomfortable with has been one of the things that I've really enjoyed and not enjoyed at the same time. Just getting pressure, just getting the nudge to do things to get outside your comfort zone and really get comfortable doing things that you don't enjoy doing, because it's just going to help you develop and be able to help others as well.
For me, it would be some of the things I really like about the job that I do is variety. Buying equipment, I guess, is probably one of the most rewarding when you go out there and buy a piece of equipment. And, you know, it also that helps with employee morale. When you do buy new equipment, they have decent stuff to run, taking care of your employees, I guess. Dislikes, probably would be dealing with problem employees. It's sometimes not fun having difficult conversations. One bit of advice: the more often you do those, the easier it is, but it's still no fun, because you are you know, dealing with somebody's life if you have to make a real tough decision with an employee.
Some of my favorite things to do, I guess, is when we're out in the field and farmers are out in the field, and if we're doing a demo, helping out with those demos, and maybe sitting in the cab with that farmer, showing them how to run that piece of equipment. And I got a huge kick out of doing all that stuff. I used to do a lot of it when I was selling. I don't get out there and do it quite as much today as I used to, but boy, that is some of the funnest times for me, I believe. It was getting out in the field and doing that. Some of the maybe dislikes or whatever, sometimes you got to deliver bad news, and sometimes it's whatever it is. Maybe it's a piece of equipment that isn't going to be delivered on time because of something happened down the line somewhere, or obviously to an employee or something like that you got to do some things to. Like John says, the more you do it, it does come. You find ways to soften the blow and try to spin it into somewhat of a positive if you can. So that's a challenging thing anyways, but it's some things that we got to do some days. So, Sam.
Yeah, I love being around equipment. That was kind of one of the things that drew me originally to my job. So anytime you get to run that out in the field, I think that's really fun. I have a great group of people that I work with, so they're fun to be around also. Those would probably be my two favorite things about the job. The hardest things, like John touched on, one of them, which I wouldn't have thought about previously, but now being a manager, when you do have to deal with like a tough employee decision or, dealing with employees, not as just a coworker, but if you have to deliver bad news or anything like that, that's tough. Otherwise, the obvious one I thought of right away was dealing with a tough customer. If it's bad news, you have to give them about a piece of machinery or a bill they didn't like. There are all sorts of instances where you have to deal with something that's going to make somebody not happy. And those are never fun to deal with, but you get through them.
Yeah. Thank you so much for all your time today and answering these questions. We know that you all have a busy schedule, so we appreciate you taking the time to share your stories and some of your advice for the high school students listening to these panels out there. We can tell that you're very passionate about what you do and are very pivotal to the future of agriculture and what you do in your daily job. So just a round of applause to you. We thank you for your time.